genre.
We are celebrating the holidays in August. I, for one, relish this adorably pleasant episode. Welcome to Beyond Geek by Night, where we have been discussing each episode of the Geek by Night podcast leading up to the series finale. On today's show, we'll be discussing the 30th episode, Holiday Special. I am so excited to host this after show for the final Geek by Night Season 1 episode. We're about to go beyond Geek by Night. I am your host, Matt Bennett. And here is our awesome panel. I'm joined today by the writers and executive producers of this episode, Scott Carelli.
Hi.
Nick Jimenez.
Hello.
And Cassandra Fredrickson.
Hello.
Just as a little recap, in this episode, Holiday Special, we have 3 stories about the underdogs celebrating the winter holidays. Gretchen and Elliot host an 8-night Hanukkah Harry Potter movie marathon. Frustrated with her current circumstances and desperate to fit into the group, Gretchen overexerts herself to impress everyone while there. Gibson is also dealing with the new status quo, and has a shockingly pleasant interaction with Max Carmichael at the mall before it's revealed that Max was conspiring with the Ire. However, Max decides to instead aid Gibson in saving some innocent bystanders from the Ire and his devil's advocates. Back at the comic shop, which is now Joel and Lorelei's new home thanks to recent events causing their lives to fall apart, they remain joyous and are decorating the shop for a holiday party when the overachievers inevitably arrive. Cosmo, Janet, and Madison make their way into the shop, but are thwarted by Joel and Lorelei's pyromaniacal expertise. Eventually, Cosmo reveals that he's only returned to retrieve his father's Christmas sweater, his only heirloom from the man. As the rest of the underdogs arrive, everyone decides to set aside their differences for one night and they make a truce. No one is left outside in the snow, and music fills the air of the comic shop as everyone dances the night away, a moment of joy before they all must confront the reality of their new normal. All right.
Hanukkah Harry Potter. I just got this.
Yeah.
Is that a real tradition that one of you
No,
does?
I just remember thinking there's 8 of those. I wanted a movie marathon of some sort. And there's 8 nights in Hanukkah. And I was like, well, what has 8 movies? And I was like, oh, Harry Potter. I think it took us an embarrassingly long amount of time to figure that out. Yeah. Because you think of Harry Potter in 7.
True.
Warner Brothers didn't.
Yeah, Warner Brothers didn't, but
they settled for 8.
Yeah. And then obviously this was made well before all of the dirty business with Rowling being a TERF.
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't great. But granted, we only say her name once in the episode, and it's about criticism, so that's good.
That's true. we didn't know then what we know now. At least not as much, not as many examples.
Dared to remember the world of winter 2018.
When a man could talk to a fish. So, in general, I'd love to hear about what was the inspiration for doing a holiday special in the first place. It's pretty different than most episodes.
Well, I guess to start with, we have to talk about the season 2 that never happened. Because this was originally was going to be like our surprise season 2 premiere. And that we're like, okay, we're going to premiere season 2 on Christmas Day with a Christmas themed episode. And it's going to be like our backdoor season 2 premiere. Where at the end, we were going to have a big announcement at the end of the episode of stay tuned in 2 weeks for a brand new episode or whatever.
We were just really excited about the idea of surprising our listeners at Christmas.
Yeah.
For sticking with us for so long.
Right.
Sure.
So we wrote, I think we started doing that early in the summer. We were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And that was the plan. Then I moved to LA. So things fell behind. I started a new job. Things fell behind. And then and we were still writing during this process and writing the season 2 premiere. And I think we wrote, I want to say 3 scripts, 2 completed scripts. And then the third one was in process. And it was at that point that I realized, oh, this isn't going to happen. It was, I think, getting close to or just past Thanksgiving. And it was just okay, yeah, we have to pull the trigger on this. It's not going to happen. There's no way we're going to get this episode produced by Christmas. And even if we do, we're just going to be scrambling the entire season, which is exactly what we were trying to avoid, because that's what we did in season 1, and everybody got burnt out and it was a bummer. So around December 11th, I was walking out of work, and I had just had this idea at work, and I was walking out of work, and I texted Nick and Cassandra in a group text, and I said, hey, what would you think about scrapping everything that we've done and just busting out a really fun, quick Christmas special? And they were both like, I mean, sure, but it's December 11th. and I was like, let's talk about it. And then I think after that, we got on the call. I think we broke the whole thing on the call, exactly what it would be.
Nice.
I wrote the outline, sent them each a section, and we all jammed on this thing. And I think we got it to everybody 5 days later.
Something like that.
Yeah. I think we broke it and wrote it and got it to the actors within 5 or 6 days, less than a week.
Because I think you texted me, and then we chatted on the phone, and then the next day we were like, okay, we're gonna break this, and we spent I don't know 3 or 4 hours talking about it, and then I know I sent you my draft, because I was just frazzled. I was like, okay, I can't look at this anymore. Here you go. 24 hours later, it was in your mailbox. So
yeah. But yeah, I remember the whole thing. We were done with it with under a week. We were done with the whole draft and sent it to the actors. The actors, thankfully, all stepped up. The entire cast did amazing work, stepped up, and just turned in their stuff within a week as well. I mean, I think most of them within 24 hours. And then I edited the episode like a dog,
like a madman,
a madman. I was staying with Nick at the time because I just moved out here, so I didn't have a place yet, and I was staying with Nick, and I just was hunched over my laptop any moment that I wasn't at work. And then
my other roommate and I watching him from the kitchen.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That boy sure is an Etnan fool.
And then I got it finished, on Christmas Day at 4 a.m. Pacific time, and published it immediately. So yeah, that's how this one came together.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely one of the more fun, brighter episodes, but I think part of the reason for that is that it feels like there's a little more improvisation in this episode. I don't know if it's just because you guys got really good takes, or if you just wanted to fit that in a little more.
I think it's a combination of things. I think we were all just, this had such the feeling of like a show getting scrambled together, like a Muppet, Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland type thing.
Yeah.
It was just coming from such a playful place. And this was at a point now where I think all three of us were just very comfortable with these characters. And also the actors were comfortable with these characters. And so there's multiple takes in these, or there's multiple instances in this episode where we keep flubs.
Yeah.
Chelsea
especially had a bunch of flubs, and I used the flubs because she wasn't getting wacky enough in her regular takes, and I needed her to get just really
delirious.
Punch drunk. Yeah, punch drunk, delirious, and she wasn't getting there. So I just found flubs and used those because it made her sound crazier than her actual real takes. So
yeah,
and
it made sense because it was she's losing her grip on
on
everything.
Yeah.
The bowl in the shape of the Tri-Wizard tournament is one of my favorite bloopers that made it in.
Yeah. It made me laugh, and so I was like, well, that's going in.
But also in this episode, there's 3 characters who are really starting to come to the forefront, or at least evolve, between Joel and Gretchen and this kind of new situation for Max. How do you approach developing a character? Is it that you feel like Joel well enough that you can give him a bigger role, or do you have any exercises or something involved with bringing somebody into a more starring role?
it's usually kind of a cocktail of things where in the instance of Joel, we were so excited by what Zach was giving us that it fed us wanting to go deeper and deeper into him being like this crazy ultimate survivor optimist that can just handle his life getting pounded for like an entire year and just keep on ticking. And so, it and kind of a similar thing happens with the Ire, where we just, the actors and the acting and the writing kind of feed each other, and we keep wanting to go deeper and explore the characters. And I think we start seeing that definitely with Max in this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with Joel, it's, just Zach is so good. I mean, this episode has one of my favorite line readings for Joel in this episode, where he suggests that they go full Kevin McAllister, and Lorelai says, "That's pure dead brilliant," and he goes, "Thank you." he's so like genuinely happy that someone would call him brilliant. Oh, it's the best.
There's a moment where he's like, all the time, like party all day, all the time, party time. Excellent. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking he said it the way that I wrote it, because I also was like, what did I just write?
Yeah.
But then I kept it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. It worked.
We were all in a fugue state during this episode.
But it's transitioning. I mean, like, there's the line at the beginning where Gibson is talking and Joel's like, "What's this guy's name again? He sucks."
Was that improvised?
I don't remember.
I think that might be a Zach original.
Yeah, that might be. I think that's Zach, because I think we wrote in the script something like everybody yells at Gibson, and then I think that I think Zach just like improv that line, which is just so freaking funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, the dynamics are really great.
Yeah.
Is this something that we can expect going forward in season 2 with Joel and Gretchen playing bigger roles as like underdog level roles?
I think it's safe to say that at least 2 of those for sure are getting character centric episodes in season 2. I'm not going to say which 2, and it's possible that it's all 3, but we're not done totally breaking the season yet. Yeah, but definitely 2, we know for sure.
Yeah, and I'd say that this is kind of the crew that we're rolling with going into season 2, and that sort of is like the Christmas reason of us doing this, is it kind of serves as an effective siege into season 2 to kind of place everyone emotionally, because this is kind of where everyone's at, and then season 2 starts to happen,
right?
And
I'd say even more than you would probably think.
I was going to say, if our listeners are interested, I would recommend maybe like 1 or 2 episodes into season 2, go back and listen to this one.
Yeah.
There might be a new context to stuff that would be really fun.
Yeah. I was listening to this myself and being like, oh wow, it's like we knew what we were doing. This is cool. Cass, what do you remember about like going into, I guess, breaking the Hanukkah story? Because that's the one that you took point on.
Yeah. It was really important for me to give Gretchen something to do, because she had spent all season like locked in a bunker, basically. And it was also really important to me. I'm not Jewish. So I went on my Twitter and I was like, Jewish friends, please tell me your favorite Hanukkah like traditions or memories or something. I'm going to use them in something I'm writing. So I had quite a few people were just like, oh yeah, no, like my family does this and this and this. So I like pulled from that, and I really wanted that to inform like what I was working on. So like learning about the holiday was really fun. And getting to make dumb jokes about Harry Potter was really fun. But yeah, no, cause we'd spent all season 1, like learning who all the other underdogs were. And I was like, okay, I want to kind of dive into who like Gretchen is, or like what makes her tick, pardon the pun. But cause we'd just done that with her actual episode, but I wanted like to give her a little more time.
Well, you just want to have like a normal adventure, like not one that's wrapping up the whole season. Like more of just like this is what like a Gretchen adventure is like. Yeah.
And like I am a perfectionist and I like hosting, which sucks because like this year I haven't been able to make food for anybody. So like I was like, okay, so me around the holidays is like stupid manic. Like what would I do if I had time travel powers? And I would just, I don't know, make sure everything went off perfect. So it just kind of made sense to me in my brain.
I really love that bit of it. This whole project kind of reminds me a lot of. I'm a fan of those like YA Christmas anthologies that they put out, like Let It Snow, and I don't know, there's a real comfort food to me. And this has that kind of chill, like low stakes Christmas holiday adventure kind of vibe.
Yeah, I definitely, like Rian is Jewish and been playing Gwen for so long that I wanted to make sure that they had a stake in this, I guess. I wanted to make sure that that this wasn't just Christmas. So it was important for me to make sure that they were able to do that. And I think what happened was like we had written the script using the lighting of the candles as like the transition. And Rian reached out to me and was like, so I love this. Would you want me to read like the prayer that we do when we light the candles? And I was like, yeah, because we have no idea what that is. So yeah, absolutely do it. And so they recorded themselves doing that, and that's what we placed in because we thought it was important to, with none of us sort of behind the scenes, or at least on writing this, not being Jewish, we wanted to make sure that we got it as I guess as close to accurate as we could, without having someone directly involved who was Jewish. Luckily, we have Rian.
And this was also kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, the show where I think the trio, the three of us, really kind of learned our rhythm together. Because now that I'm remembering what writing this one was like, I'm now remembering how we've been doing season 2. And I think we were able to hit the ground running with this back in spring because of the holiday special. And
that's interesting.
So. And Scott's really good at knowing when to pass the ball to Cass and when to pass, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, this, like Cass's brain is so much better at this than mine. Or like, or I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about this because I know Scott and Cass will handle this. And we kind of, I don't know, this is when we kind of learned to lean on each other and like use each other's gifts in a way. And this is a really fun one to put together.
Yeah, because Scott wrote the Gibson one and then Nick had the Overachievers one, or was it the other way around?
I think that's right.
Okay.
No, I think that's right.
It's it. Yeah.
Because the Overachievers are your baby, Nick. Like
that's where I learned that they were his baby. I didn't know how much they. Yeah, I remember he was like writing that, and he would just come out of his room, and he would just have this look on his face, like I'm falling in love with some new characters, Scott. Like you can just tell that he just really loved writing those guys.
She just wants to go to the bathroom.
God, that was so good.
This is a really good.
That was so good. Am I supposed to wear it or pee on it? Your choice. That was so funny, Nick.
After 30 episodes in the first season, because I mean I listened to them as they were coming out, but now that I've finished re-listening and doing all these after shows, I realize there's a lot of content in 30 episodes.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're getting more in tune with your writers and fellow executive producers and things like that. But is there anything else that you feel like has gotten a lot easier or that you've gotten better at in that you're kind of leveraging in season 2?
I don't know. I would leave that to these guys because I'm not sure.
I definitely feel more comfortable with these two as like writing partners because like. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like before, I think I felt a little like third wheelie. And
ridiculous.
Anxiety brain. But now, like with season 2, like I feel a lot more comfortable being like, okay, so I don't really know how this is going to go. Like, can you like walk me through this or like handle it or something like that?
Sure.
But.
Yeah. I like it's. I don't know. What do you think, Nick?
It's just I don't know. It's. I think I've gotten. writing the characters, especially when it's just like the underdogs, is such a pleasure for me. And it's so fun to just, and like I know the characters so well at this point that we're able to get moving a lot faster through the really kind of dense plot stuff that we have in season 2. And I think we're able to do it with ease or have it feel more palatable because like the character stuff is so secondhand to us at this point. Of like, how would Mindy react to this? How would Gibson react to this? What if Gwen's not in the room? Then how are they like, you know?
Yeah. I think I'm better at figuring out when an episode isn't working earlier in the process. You know, it used to be that like we would have written like a draft and then I go to rewrite it and I'm like, I don't think this is working. I don't think this is it. And then we would have to like start over. And I think I'm now more attuned to the show that I want the show to be. And so I'm able to like figure that out early on while we're breaking it to be like, this isn't Geek by Night. Like, you know, it's just, you start to realize it because I mean, the process has tended to be, it's been a little different in season 2 because we're not always available together a lot. So it's been a lot of me breaking stuff with Nick and then getting on a call and breaking stuff with Cass separately and just sort of like bopping back and forth between the two of them. But it's, I think I just start to like see where the problems are and I'm able to like hone in on those and say like, okay, I think this is what the problem is. How can we fix this problem? And then we talk through it and we get out of the mud a lot faster, I think, now than we did before.
Yeah. We're able to work smarter and kind of use like, just be more effective and kind of see a problem early on before, like Scott said, before we're driving in it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is also the first episode, if I'm not mistaken, that Cass is officially an executive producer on the show. Yeah. So
you worded something really interesting to me while we were working on season 2 stuff a few days ago, where you were like, Cass is really good at intuitively knowing when something isn't working or isn't worth going down, or like, no, that doesn't work. Whereas I'm kind of, I'm like an improviser. I've been trained that way where there isn't a bad idea.
Right.
And so I'll like chase any ball that you throw. Right. But Cass is much better at being like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, no, she shuts that shit down real fast.
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but in a good way, because I don't get that from Nick, because Nick's whole thing is like super supportive,
super enabling.
and like
enabler.
Yeah, he's definitely enabler. Well, and it's not just that; it's just like we start talking down roads of like multiple roads, and we're going down all these roads, and then I can come to you and be like, "So these are all the roads we walk down," and you're like, "That road's dumb. I don't like the looks of that road. This one might be okay. Maybe if we take this road and that road and combine them," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," and like that's how it works. I
know that you like gauge like stuff. If I'm like super excited about something, you're like, "Okay, that's the right one." So
yep, that's true.
If I'm just like, I don't really know, you're just like, "Okay, well, it's stupid."
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and shoot that dog.
Oh,
that's not it. Yeah.
So, looking back at the 30 episodes of season 1, you know, because I kind of want to retrospect on the season as a whole now that this is the last. This is the last before season 2. Yeah. What would you do differently going back? I mean, it sounds like, you know, a lot of what we talked about is like finding the characters and finding the show along the way. And obviously, like, we all wish there would have been 100 episodes instead of 30 or something like that. But if you could go back and reboot it again, or you know, George Lucas it and fix things up, what would you change?
I think it would have been, I remember thinking while I was listening to this one again today that it just would have been nice to have been able to pay everyone for their work.
Yeah, for sure.
That was one of our major goals. And, you know, maybe if we get enough listeners and we get enough support on the Patreon, we can like pay every actor and Tofty and everyone that works so hard on the show post. And, you know, at least just something to show that we appreciate. And like, and so it's kept us from getting to like, oh, the show's not coming out, because like it's moving at the only way that it can, which
Right.
is through everyone's free time.
Right.
And so, yeah, if like, I remember there's moments listening to this one where it's just so like boom, 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 that I'm like, oh, this would have been really fun to get to like make professionally and pay everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
And have it not come out so irregularly. But I'm very proud of the work that we did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with everything he said. I also think structurally, if I could do it all over again, I would rewrite everything and make it them single episodes. I definitely would have found a way for the underdogs to get their powers within the first 30 minutes. I think that would be the main thing I would focus on changing. Is that I don't. In retrospect, I really don't like the feature length stories, and I wish we had. I wish we had stuck to like shorter burst episodes. Like I don't like that a lot of these episodes have 4 parts. I just think, I mean, most of them have 4 parts.
Mm-hmm.
It really, in retrospect, really bothers me because I think it looks more daunting than it should and intimidating. And I wish I had. I mean, I just didn't know. Like, I didn't know what people wanted and what would work the best. And I was basing a lot of this on like what Big Finish did with Doctor Who. And so like, I was like, oh, they do 4-part stories. Their stories are feature length. But people also buy those. They don't listen to them for free as podcasts. And so they have a whole different, and it's Doctor Who, which is like, an IP and a totally different thing. And so, I mean, we just did the 4-part thing because we were like, it was kind of out of ignorance. And I think Nick was just sort of like following my lead on that structural plan.
I don't know.
Yeah, but in retrospect,
I would say,
in retrospect, that would be the thing that I would fix is I would try to tell those same stories, over the course of like smaller adventures, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about you, Cass?
Oh, yeah.
What would you change?
Don't know.
You're an executive producer now. It's fine. You can say whatever you want.
Or even like from a character story place, like, like knowing now what you know then, whatever.
Yeah. Without any season 2 spoilers.
I would make you change all of the frickin' characters that start with the letter G. Because that's a nightmare.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God! I just wrote a scene where they are the only
Gretchen,
people in the scene.
Gibson and Gwen.
Oh my gosh!
It's just a scene. It's just a scene between Gibson, Gwen, and Gretchen, and I'm like, this is a nightmare. Why did I do this?
It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It's a rule. I mean, like, think about it. There's been no G's since them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's the first rule we have.
Yeah. God, that was.
I think that's great.
Yeah, completely agree.
So it's sounding like season 2 is going to be a little more streamlined. You've said multiple times that you're kind of more comfortable with the characters, and that season 2 is pretty plot heavy. Is that true?
I wouldn't say it's plot heavy. I would say
it's got a lot to do.
I would say we are taking what our original intention was for the end of season 1 before season 1 ended up having to wrap up the way that it did. We're taking our original story for that, and we are taking all of the plot heavy stuff from that, and we're stretching it out over the course of 10 regular episodes of Geek by Night. So like each episode has its own story, its own point, and it's just the plot stuff has gone from a super, like, I think it was going to be a 6-part finale. Of all plot, and we've basically stretched it out and turned it into a 10-part sort of like season of the show with like each individual episode having its own story to tell. Yeah. I mean, basically, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of what we've done. Plus, there's like an epilogue thing at the end that is going to be like the way the whole show is going to wrap up.
How they all died.
Yeah, right. How they all died.
they all met each other in purgatory.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like they're just 10 epic stories in a row. I mean, like, I've been very proud of each of them, and every time we're done with one, I've been like, oh wow, this one it's like a roller coaster, and we just finished the last part of the roller coaster before it starts to drop.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just really excited about season 2. I think season 2 is going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the work Cass has been doing has been so great.
Oh,
We're
thank
talking
you.
about that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
God.
I'm so proud of those pages, you guys.
Oh man. She wrote an episode this season that is just. If you thought her work in Ghost Story was good,
Thank you.
Oh, I love Ghost Stories. So
just you wait.
I would say that's a good companion. But yeah, it's also like a very emotional character episode.
Yes.
So, I'm in my early 30s. Part of the reason why I really like this show is a lot of characters are kind of in the same life stage as I am. And like celebrating holidays with friends instead of family is a big part of that. That's something I'm still getting used to, moving away from my home state and stuff like that. But that was kind of a running theme throughout season 1. It's just kind of like those changes you go through. Is season 2 going to continue exploring this theme, or do you feel like there's new ideas that you might get into now that the show is a couple years old and you're all a couple years older?
Cass, what do you think?
I think it's still exploring those themes, but like, I don't know.
I think it's going deeper.
Season 1 is like late 20s to me, because I was just in my late 20s when I was writing it, and then like this is more like early 30s, like, oh my god, I'm actually an adult, like what am I going to do with myself sort of thing. But
it's like the underdogs looking at their lives in ways that they haven't before and like asking themselves questions. And I think we're finding all these surprising things about the characters by like kind of giving them these crazy challenges that happen this season.
Yeah. If there's a theme to season 2, it's the sort of feeling that you get when you're in your 30s of like, is this it? Is this what my life is? Like, is this what I'm doing? And sort of reckoning with those questions and the feelings that are brought up with that question. The thing where you just realize like, oh, I'm almost, I'm almost 15 years out of graduating high school. I've been an adult almost as long as I was a kid. What am I doing? What is this? And those feelings I are certainly resonating with me. I think it's sort of this new midlife crisis that doesn't really have a name yet because it's not midlife, but I think it is a crisis. It's like an existential crisis that I think a lot of people in their 30s are having, a lot of millennials in their 30s, where they're nowhere near where their parents were when their parents were their age. There's no roads to get there. Where their parents were, and just sort of like looking around and really trying to think like, is this what I'm doing with the rest of my life, or am I just doing this because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop? And like, why hasn't it dropped yet? And that's those, and so those are a lot of the sort of like themes and emotions and feelings that we're playing with in season 2.
And it's really fun. We're getting to use all of these ideas that we've had in the toy chest that we were going to like parse out through the course of however long we thought the show was going to last. And now we just get to like empty the toy box. And that's been really, really fun to craft and to write.
Yeah. One of our goals with this season, like one of the first things that I did when I brought everybody together, I think for the first time to like break the season, was basically like, we made a list of like stuff that we've always wanted to see on the show. Like what have we always wanted to do on the show? And we just like sort of made like a fun list. And we've been like steadily trying to like check every box on our way out the door.
That's great.
And so that's a big part of like our goals in season 2 as well, is, as much as we want to make an ending that everyone listening to the show, everyone who's been listening to the show for as long as they've been listening to it, as much as we want to give them what they want and what they're hoping for from a final season of this show, we are fans of the show and we want certain things. And so, we had that checklist and we've just been sort of going down the checklist and marking things off. And it's been really satisfying as we've gone along to see that all of that list of things that we had, none of them have felt forced yet. Like all of them have just like, we've made all of them work exactly the way we want, like exactly the way they fit into the plot has been just perfect. And it's so immensely satisfying as a storyteller. And, I just have like, I've just been loving working with these two knuckleheads. It's been so great. Just, I can't wait for you guys to hear it, to hear it all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, one last question from me here. There are two characters that are absent from the episode, but we have to assume that they're off scheming somewhere. How soon until we find out what Charlotte Swift and Dr. Medina are up to?
Episode 1.
Episode 1 of
Really?
season 2.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yep.
All right.
God knows what they were doing on Christmas, but we will be seeing what they
Right.
Just getting drunk and glaring at each other, I imagine.
Brooding,
Oh, man.
right?
Yeah.
like,
Petting
Jeez,
white
wow.
cats in a very tall back chair. That's-
Oh, yeah.
Sounds intense.
Any other thoughts or stories you want to share about Holiday Special?
No, just really hats off to the cast. Everyone is just
Yeah.
at the top of their
Yes.
game in this episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very true.
I did forget to mention one thing, which is the music. Granted, there's a couple of needle drops in this because, like, I just couldn't imagine a Christmas special without some needle drops. But
As a child of the OC.
as the child of the OC, exactly, owning all 4 Chrismica albums, the actual like underdog music, Tofty had no time to score this at all.
Mhm.
And he was like, I don't have any of my stuff. Like, I can't, I'm at my parents'. I can
You
turn
always
in,
do this to me.
yeah, you always do this to me. I can turn in my lines, but like, that's the best I can do. And then I thought about it and I was like, can I ask you one thing and see if you could do it for me? And he was like, okay. And I was like, can you take, if I give you existing score pieces that I'm going to place into the episode, would you remix them and just add jingle bells to them? And he was like, oh yeah, I can do that. And I was like, just do that. And so he did, and I used that in the episode. So it's just his regular score, and then he just recorded himself playing some jingle bells to add to it.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
That's
I wouldn't have
awesome.
noticed. I have to go back
yeah,
and listen
no,
now.
and it
'cause-
works great. It works so good. Yeah, it works perfectly. But yeah, so he added the jingle bells and then just gave me the pieces, and then I actually went through in my edit and scored it with those. But yeah, it was man, turning this episode around was crazy. I can't believe we did it, but we did it.
So did it come out on Christmas Day? So
Yes,
between December 11th and 25th? Oh my
I
gosh.
hit publish at 4 a.m. Christmas Day, Pacific time. And then I woke up and had to go to work, I think like 4 hours later. And then I worked all day. And then after work, I met some friends for drinks and I got more drunk than I think I've ever been in my entire life. I was laid up on the couch the next day because I've never had a hangover like that ever in my
Wow.
life. But you know, I was celebrating.
Merry Christmas.
I love
indeed.
it.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you again to our guests, Scott, Nick, and Cass, for joining me
Yeah,
today. And
thank
you
you.
to all of you, the fans, the underdogs, for listening today. If you'd like to support the show, as always, please join the Dueling Genre Patreon at duelinggenre.com/support. You'll also get access to classic Geek by Night episodes, scripts, and other behind-the-scenes materials, and exclusive episodes from Dueling Genre's best shows. You can also tell your friends, families, and followers to subscribe to Geek by Night on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you're listening to this right now. And stay tuned for the next episode, the Season 2 premiere, on October 4th. I cannot wait to hear the Season 2 episodes. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about during the after shows, which we will be releasing following each episode from now on. Thank you for going beyond Geek by Night with us. Have a super day.
And happy holidays.